dressed for the occasion. Sorry. This happens to be, I believe, vlog number 12 for 2019. And it happens to be Monday, September the 16th, 2019. And there's been more progress made. Probably really can't see it from where you're sitting presently, but we're going to go over a few things. Unfortunately, being on call last week and this past weekend, didn't get as much done as I wanted to, but I did accomplish something yesterday, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this off the tripod, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour, so hang with me, we'll be right back. Alright, so we're going to start down here on the Boeville side of things. We kind of discussed last vlog what I did over here, which was flip the 1.5 foot sections here from over on that side, put them over here, which gave me a little bit more stability and such. But spent better part of the day yesterday running electrical lines. That 4-gang box, obviously you can tell by the orange and black receptacles on top that will be for the layout lighting, the overhead lighting, because we discussed that before, that the lighting in this room is kind of inconsistent. Across from it, you'll see that there's a box down there, and the gray and or the white and the beige outlets, that'll be for street lights and house lighting. Those two circuits will ran out of yellow wire, and as luck would have it, my father-in-law had a whole bunch of gray wire, so I ended up switching from yellow to gray at one point. I know the gray is outdoor, but hey, it was free, I'll use what I want. It may not be all that pretty looking. Don't forget that in this void here, there's going to be some cross bracing yet that I have not put in, because I still haven't cut down a pool table yet. I have to figure out how the heck I'm going to move the thing. So I haven't gotten there yet. And obviously the control panel is still sitting over here because I haven't really messed with it yet. I know I've got to cut it down a little bit, but I had to get it out of the way to be able to do the electrical. So, any rate, you can see that the wiring comes over. There is a junction here for the house lights and the street lights. The overhead lighting, it'll be just junctioned with the outlets. So if the layout ever came apart, that box would stay and the wires would actually detach. I know I moved a little bit quick there, sorry. Would actually detach from here. This is supposed to be the overhead lighting here again. And all wires are actually marked with a, they're marked with an ink pen. Also, as you can see, there's a receptacle sitting here. It's a white receptacle. That is track power. And I know I kind of discussed and kind of left you all hanging as to what's going on with that, and I'm still not 100% sure what I'm doing with that, so I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet. So moving on down through the bridge area here, another box or a set of boxes for the overhead lighting. And what I did here, because this is going to be another one of those points where things are going to come apart, this is actually where the street lights and the house lighting would come apart. Of course, an empty box of wire. Left it up here. Where the wiring going over into the Wykert Hill, Newtown area, Harrisburg Yard, Richmond Yard area. On the far side there, that is the junction box or the receptacle box for the overhead lighting. So that's over there, and of course the receptacles are lighting up on top of the L girder. And then over here we have the house lights, street lights again. That is the end of the run. And then over here is the end of the run for the overhead lighting. And then underneath, there's my kill switch for the folding section. Now, the folding section, I've already gone ahead and kind of put it back in its permanent position because that's where it's going to normally be. I'm just going to go ahead and once I figure out where the track power is actually going to go, obviously it'll come to that switch first and then leave that switch and then hit the receptacles. And what I'm planning on doing with the receptacles, since we're kind of talking about that, is they'll actually get mounted here. So the boards will actually get cut and these will be recessed in. There's one on the back side here for the yards. There should be one on the front side someplace. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, actually, I do know what I did with it. It's actually sitting over there. And then there's a couple more that'll be also recessed. But I did figure out how to put in a kill switch. I'm not 100% happy with it, but it'll function with what I want. Normally, 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen is if this section, and as you can tell, I've already got the this is the old 2x5 or 2.5 by 5 foot that was under the under Newton's farm, and you can kind of get an idea as to where that was actually sitting because of the semicircle here where this track is. That was the edge of the farm. And I've already looked at it, and I can leave these tracks pretty much where they are, and I can just continue them on around, and this will obviously be leading into the Harrisburg yard, and of course Richmond yard will be over here because you'll be coming from the opposite direction. But I'm going to keep the 2x5 in the upright position because, like I said, 9 times out of 10 that's where it's going to be anyway. The only reason why I wanted it foldable is by chance if I have to remove that tank, I can lower that. Now, with that being said, you know what? Let me stop here for a minute and I'll flip the camera so I'm actually talking to you all. So give me a second. Okay, as the light shines off my forehead. I really can't. It's way too bright over here. Let me try swinging this thing a little bit and seeing if we can't get it into a little. You didn't need to be that close to my face. I don't want to break anybody's computer screens. This works. I figure with that kill switch, 9 times out of 10, probably 99 times out of 100, if I have to drop that, the layout's going to be off to begin with, which means that if for some stupid reason it would get turned on, the track power is going to be dead until that thing gets flipped back up. 1. 2, there's going to be DP/DT switches all around the layout for controlling, you know, which power pack you're using and which side of the tracks you're on. So in other words, you know, there's going to be an A controller and a B controller, and they're interchangeable. You know, A could be on the northbound on one trip and be on the southbound the next trip. The reason for that is what I'm thinking about doing with this, and I'm still not going to let the cat out of the bag until I actually get there, because there's a couple ideas floating around in my head. And yes, I'm still not going to do DCC yet. And I know it's a point of contention, and we've been over this numerous times. With me just moving back in April, you know, for the time being, I'm going to do what I know. Now, you know, in the next 5 years, do I go ahead and convert this thing to DCC? It's a possibility. I'm not going to rule it out. The biggest issue for me isn't so much the cost, because I see that the costs are coming down, and you can pick up some halfway decent systems from folks that are dismantling, decided to go from NCE to or NCE over to Digitrax or vice versa. You know, there's all sorts of things out there that you can pick up, and I'm seeing that now. That, yeah, it's more than likely going to be the way I'm going to go at some point. There's a caveat and a catch to that, and that big thing still being the age of most of my equipment. That's the biggest problem. And I know that there are folks out there that are running a mix of DCC and DC. Okay, well, if I went ahead and threw this thing in a straight DCC straight off the bat, I'm not going to be able to, I probably wouldn't be able to do the DC like I would want to. So this way, if I'm starting out with DC, I can go ahead and take and make the DP/DT switches that are going to control what track you're actually controlling It can probably either be, okay, I'm on DCC or I'm on DC. The other point is the fact that with that control panel, that's still going to be the main panel. So if I just want to come down here and flip a switch and watch a couple of trains run, I can come down here, make sure that I've got the DP/DTs on that panel to local, and they'll be run off of a local power pack on that panel, more than likely that MRC dual pack that I had. And it'll run the whole, hopefully it'll run the whole layout. And I've got some ideas as to how I'm going to fix that too, because of some of the things I started seeing happening with my old layout, and some things that I've heard from folks that how they've gotten around some power loss issues. Let's call it that. So that's kind of where I'm headed. I go ahead, I'll do DC for right now. In the future, I may consider convert to DCC. We'll see how things go. Right now, you know, like I said, we're just moving. My daughter's still in college, things of that nature, and we've had to put a little bit of money into this place to make it right. Right now is not the time to do it. So that's the end of the story. But I'm hoping this weekend to get down here and actually finish putting in the power outlets for the controllers, for the power packs. So that way I can literally just go ahead and have all the power wiring done at this point. And I'm not battling, but I've been thinking in my head, do I want to try and run the bus lines and things of that nature? Yeah, I probably do, but the one thing I do need to do is I need to get that pool table over someplace where I can start cutting it up so I can put the inner bracing in some of these places, so that way I don't have to worry about making cuts in that to go ahead and drop wiring into. There's no point in doing that. The electrical wiring is going to be underneath. The power wiring for the street lights, the house lights, the power pack, or the track, all that will be going through the boards, so they'll be separated. Is there a reason for doing that? No, not really, but it'll keep things a little bit neater. I'm going to go through here as well with the power wiring. I'm going to try and do some things that kind of neaten that up a little bit, because it's a little bit of a rat's nest already. But you know, I've got cable stays and things of that nature up underneath the layout to kind of help things go where they belong. So I just have to tidy things up a little bit, get some wire ties, and probably just tie the stuff together. And once I cut it and get it into the outlets, that's when I'll worry about tidying it up, and then I can go ahead and get my cross braces in and things of that nature, and we'll be good to go. So it's still a work in progress. It's getting there. It's getting there. And I know on the last vlog I mentioned the fact that I'm not going to put the tracks right on the plywood. That's true. However, to get marks as to where they actually sit, and of course anybody who's built the layout or is building a layout knows that you should probably go ahead and put the whole thing, or at least better part of it down, mark center lines so you know where to put road bed. That's the reason why I'm not too concerned about taking up what was left of Newton's farm, because to a point, that's a good starting point. I've already got track down there. Hey, it worked. And the thing of it was too, is that corner ended up being extremely square too, which I was really happy about. But so that's where the Boeville in Newtown is for vlog 12. I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to get this thing uploaded. I'm going to try and do it now, but we'll see what happens. It may not get uploaded till later in the week. We'll see what happens. But as you all know the deal. Wait for the highball. Green tracks ahead. We'll catch you all next time. Be safe. God bless. See ya.